Here, I'll mute everybody out. I know that we're recording, but there we go. We have people rolling in too. Let me unmute Travis or make my co-host as well. So welcome to our Thursdays IX growth trainings. We're doing this every Thursday night at 6 p.m., 9 p.m. Eastern. And just like we had promised, about once a month, we'll be bringing in a special guest. And we were fortunate enough to bring in Travis Flaherty tonight. And as you guys hopefully all know, but if you don't know, Travis Flaherty is the debt ambassador. So he is the liaison pretty much between IX Global and the debt box, which is amazing because he gets a lot of information first. And I know he's developed a great relationship with the debt council since he's been working with them over the last year. He has also done his own due diligence because he'll tell you himself that he has he first got involved with this because he was interested in investing in the opportunity. So I am excited to have Travis on with us. I know that we had also talked about these trainings being a little bit different because they're not your traditional trainings where you're just having people talk and we're listening for a while. And Travis and I were talking about ideas of how we wanted this training to go. And with some great recommendations from Doug, we decided that we wanted to make this a question and answer style type of training. But I did ask him to touch on a little bit. I feel like a lot of feedback that I've been getting has been, why are people sitting on the fence? Why aren't they jumping in? And I asked Travis to talk about how he goes about putting urgency on somebody going forth with the purchase of these licenses. So welcome, Travis. I'm sorry for my long-winded welcome there.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be here. It's good to see everybody. And yeah, I'm hoping for more of an informal, would love to answer questions, anything that you're struggling with, or just anything that comes to mind. So kind of think up of those questions and we'll chat about it tonight. But to address the first question, which is, how do I convey urgency? I convey urgency from the very beginning, of my conversations. If you guys have ever watched any of our Elevate mentoring training sessions, in the first training session, we talk about how to approach prospects. And the second, we talk about what's the process that you take them through. And then the third, we talk about how to utilize groups to be able to create massive duplication in your organization. So if you haven't had a chance to go back and watch those, definitely encourage you to do so. But going back to the first training, everything starts with an invitation or a conversation that leads to an invitation, but I'm always conveying a very strong sense of urgency right from the very beginning. So I might say, hey, Sarah, listen, I wanted to reach out to you because I have something that is really important that I connect with you about today. Do you have 5 to 10 minutes so that I can tell you about something that's happening right now? Two of my favorite words are right now, right? It conveys that there's something that's happening, it's urgent, that it's important. So right from the very beginning, before I've even shared anything at all, I've already set the expectation that there's something that's happening right now that I needed to share with her. I might say something to Sarah like, hey, Sarah, listen, I needed to reach out to you to make sure that you understand what's happening right now, because the last thing that I want is for you to come back to me 6 months from now and say, why did you not tell me about this? So whether you choose to get involved or not is totally okay with me, but I needed to make sure that I told you about what was happening, because I believe this is the biggest thing that's happened to both Summer and I to date, and I want to make sure that you're aware of it, right? So what I just did is I created a huge amount of curiosity. I created a tremendous amount of sense of urgency and value, to the point where she's going to say, what is it? Like, what do you have going on? Right. And so from there, I'm just going to have a very, very simple conversation. And that conversation is always going to be focused around 3 things: where I was concerned or dissatisfied, what I found, and now how I feel about the future. So if your story is, and I know some of you on here are unhappy with where your 401k is, right? Your 401k might be a 301k. I know many friends and even family members, including my father. I was just on the phone with my stepdad last night, and he was talking about how his aunt, Joni, has adjusted her living style, her lifestyle completely as a result of what's happened to her 401k. So let's say that that might be you. Well, that would be a really good opportunity for you to say, listen, you know what, I've worked really, really hard and I've built up this 401k. And over the course of the last few years, with what's been happening with inflation and the economy and all the craziness that's happening in the world, I've watched that 401k now turn into a 301k. And quite honestly, it's very, very concerning to me. In addition to that, I'm concerned about what's happening in the banks and with the banking system and some of these banks that have closed. As a result of that, I started looking at some different options and some different ways to be able to put my money to work. What I found was an incredible way to be able to take my money, and instead of it just leaving it in the bank and letting the bank make money off of me, but to put my money to work and in an asset-backed crypto project that I'm very excited about. And I'd love to be able to share some information with you that just gives you a little bit more of an idea of what it is that I'm working on, right? So it's a little bit about where I was dissatisfied. Here's what I found. And I don't think I took it home enough. I might say, and since I've gotten involved with this, I have to tell you, I'm so excited about the future. I'm so excited about the next 3 to 5 years. I can actually see how over the next 3 to 5 years, we could put myself and my family in a position where we can retire and we can live off of these assets and we can do the things that we want to do rather than the things that we have to do. And Sarah, it was really important that I reach out to you to make sure that you were aware of what is happening right now. So something along those lines, but that's how I would convey urgency. I also use the promotions a lot. Anytime there's something that's happening with a promotion, like for example, right now, we have this amazing promotion that's happening where you have the ability to be able to participate in this sizzling summer bundle, right? For $500. Most people have $500. And, you know, I have been as brash as to call up some friends of mine and people that I know and just say, hey, listen, do you trust me enough with $500 to be able to help you to get started in cryptocurrency? I know you've been watching. Let me help you get started in our ecosystem. Let me help you just get a better understanding of what it is that I'm doing, what I'm working on, and you can get a feel for how this all works, right? I believe that these projects, I believe that these promotions are a great way to add wallet holders to your business. And as those wallet holders come into your business, they're going to get introduced to the ecosystem. They're going to get introduced to the app. They're going to start seeing these tokens coming in real time. And then all of a sudden, they're going to hear somebody talking about drip or somebody talking about DCM or the next license that launches. And they're going to say, should I pick up one of those drip licenses too? So for me, like the last promo, I brought in 28 people off of that promo, new people that just basically came in as a result of me reaching out to them and saying, listen, we have a promotion right now that's running. Let's get you started in crypto. I know you've been watching it. I know you've kind of been sitting on the sidelines. This is the perfect way for you to dip your toes in the water from an economical standpoint. You're not spending the farm, but it'll at least give you a chance to start learning digital currency and putting yourself into a position where you're collecting these tokens that have the potential to be able to grow over time. Is that something that you'd be willing to do to get started with me today? So I use these $500 promotions as a way to get people in. And I use there is an urgency to them like this one. You know, by the way, if you're one of the first 1,000 that buys this, you're going to get 2 free additional micros just because you're one of the first 1,000. So let's get you started today. Is that something that you're willing to do? So I use these promotions a lot to convey that urgency as well.
Travis, do you know how many of those we've sold so far?
I think that we sold about 170 in the last 24 hours. So a good 10% or so, 15% of the 1,000 is spoken for at this point.
So probably about a week or so. We might have about a week to take advantage of that extra 2.
Yeah, and if I have anything to say about it, 1,000 will be extended. I'm always fighting.
Oh, extended, okay.
But right now, again, urgency, right?
Right.
Just so you know, I wrote this promotion. I created the flyer, and I was mad when corporate put it out and said the end of the month, because it should have said the 15th. Why? Sense of urgency. Without a sense of urgency, all value is lost. I'd rather it say June 15th, it expires, and then come back on the 15th and say, we've decided to extend this until the 30th. So I'm using my flyers, and I'm telling all my prospects this promotion is running to the 15th right now, because there's a sense of urgency on it.
Right. That's about a week, right? Okay, good. Because I do think that's important. Because some of the things, I know people are watching the myself included, the DCM price, and that drop from 4,500 down to 2,000 was precipitous. So I just tell people, but you don't want to miss it, because if you blink, they could all be sold out, and then you'll never have a DCM. So, there's also a sense of urgency on that project for people that want to get in on the Bitcoin mining.
Yeah, and as you start to learn some of the new projects and the new tokenomics and the way that they've set them up, I mean, there's a lot of tokens that are being paid out in the beginning stages of these projects. So, you can catch a license that's dropped down to, a couple $1,000s, but it's still really, really early on into the project, and still pick up some of the larger amount of payoffs, because that license is only a few weeks old, and still be able to pick up a large amount of accumulation. So, I always explain to people that, the most amount of tokens are always going to be paid out in the beginning stages when a project first launches. That's why the prices are higher. And some people are willing to pay that because they see the value in that. Personally, my strategy, and again, everybody's situation is totally different. I like to go in and pick up at least one license at the peak price, because I want to be online on day one. But when drip comes around 3 to 4 weeks later at $1,000 a license, I will go buy 10 of them, because now I can accomplish the same amount of token payout as I did in the beginning stages, but now I also own 5 to 10 more licenses that potentially down the road will have value, because I will own those NFTs. And so I like to buy in the beginning, and then I wait until I get up to a price point that I'm comfortable with, and then I will buy again that same project once it gets down into a price range that I like.
Yep.
But urgency is just, again, it's all about the language that you use. When I first launched my business, here's how I launched. I spent a month evaluating, testing the licenses. And when I finally decided that I was going to launch my business, I started putting up a series of curiosity posts that, things like, what do gold and silver and natural gas and oil and high yielding agriculture have in common with cryptocurrency, and more specifically with the project that I'm about to launch. And if you're interested in learning more, drop me a line, hit me a message, or leave a comment below, right? I don't tell people what it is I'm doing. I create curiosity. I get people coming to me to ask questions. Well, when they come to me and they ask questions, here's what I would say. I created a private information group with for people that are wanting more information. What I'd like to do with your permission is I'd like to add you to that group, and I'd like to tag you on a presentation. And I want you to watch the presentation, and I want you to text me as soon as you have watched it. I want you to text me the minute that you're done watching it, because there are some things that are happening right now that are very important. And I want to make sure that I have a chance to be able to get back with you. And I'd have some people that say, well, can't you tell me, give me a little bit, help me, just give me a little bit of an idea. And I just say to them, listen, I don't have time to get into it right now. Everything that you are looking for is in the presentation that I've shared with you. Trust me when I tell you that it's worth your time watching it. I'm going to tag you on the presentation, and I want you to text me the minute that you've watched it, and we'll hop back on a call and we'll have a conversation. And so I would convey even urgency in the invitation process of text me as soon as you've had a chance to watch it. And if they didn't get back to me within 24, 48 hours, I'd fire off a quick text that just says, hey, have you watched that yet? Listen, don't sit on this. When you get a chance, make sure that you watch that, and let's get back on a phone call as soon as we possibly can. Right? There's too much money sitting on the table to let this just sit there right now. So there's always a sense of urgency. There's a quote that I heard so many years ago: without a sense of urgency, all value is lost. Right? In the second training that I do in the mentoring series, we talk about how you move somebody from one exposure to the next, but you want to do it in as short of time as possible. If I said, hey, Sarah, I want you to watch this presentation. If I send it over to you, will you watch it? And she says, yes. and then I don't follow up for 3 weeks, I'm not conveying value, right? There's no sense of urgency at all. But if I'm literally saying to her in the invitation process, hey, Sarah, if I send you over a presentation, do you think you could watch it? She says, yes. Now listen to this. When do you think you might be able to watch it, Sarah? What would you say?
Maybe tomorrow night.
Okay. So if I called you on Saturday morning, you'll have had a chance to watch it.
Yeah,
Okay, great. What time on Saturday should I call you?
10 a.m.
Do you guys see the difference in what I just did? I now have a set appointment for a follow-up at 10 a.m. And in Sarah's mind, she knows I'm going to be calling by 10 a.m. So at least by then, she's got to do her best to try and watch that presentation. Do you see the difference in how that conveyed urgency?
Right.
As opposed to me just saying, hey, I'm going to send this to you. Just get back to me whenever you've watched it. That doesn't convey urgency, and dollars always follow value, and a sense of urgency conveys value.
Yep.
That's great, Travis.
Any other question, or what other questions come to mind? Where do you struggle? What,
Well, I have a question, Travis. You said, about you and Summer retiring off the assets down 5 years down the road. Can you talk a little bit about how the average person might be able to retire from a cash flow standpoint off the current offerings that we have? Now, I know a lot of things will change. I mean, they change every week, but it's hard to spin in 3 years. But knowing what you know now, how can somebody retire and not have a job without recruiting people? How would you set that up?
Well, I would use an example. First of all, as everybody knows, we obviously we can't guarantee anything, but let me give you an example. In the first year that Bitcoin launched, people were mining Bitcoin. They were getting 5,000 Bitcoin a day, and they were worth 0.0003, right?
Yeah.
That G license right now pays about 7,000 tokens per day, and it's worth about 0.0003. So I'm not saying that one is the same as the other, but I'm just giving you kind of a parallel. First year that people mined Bitcoin, if you went through 12 months of mining and you were making about $3 a day at the end of that year, you'd say, man, the ROI stinks on this, right? I spent $4,000 on an A6 miner, and I don't even think I've made a third of it back yet. Second year, went up a little bit, started to get a little bit interesting for the Bitcoin miners, but still not enough that it was really exciting. But by the third year, all of a sudden, Bitcoin started skyrocketing, and it went to a few dollars, and then it went to $10 and $100. And by the fourth year, it was $300 per token. Now, were those people that were mining Bitcoin in the beginning stages, were they mining dollars or were they mining Bitcoin?
Yeah, Bitcoin. Yeah.
They were mining Bitcoin, right? So what I try to help people understand is that while you might only see $2 a day on aluminum or $12 a day on DCM or whatever the project is producing, it truly is irrelevant if you're looking at this from a long-term holding standpoint, because it's the token value or the token accumulation that matters most. I can't publicly tell you what I guess I can tell you what I think. I think that NatG will hit 50 cents inside of the next 12 to 24 months, 50 cents a token. I think that Black Gold could hit, $5 to $10 a token. I think that, so if you do the math and you start kind of thinking about if all it takes is one of these projects that's worth 0.0003 to move 2 to 3 zeros to go from 1/1000th to a penny, and that's a ton of money depending on which project that you're in. And I'm only using NatG because those are ones that I'm familiar with because I know my numbers. But even some of the newer projects, right? They may not pay out as many tokens, but the value is a little bit higher. So for me, it's all about a mentor that made over $50 million in the last cryptocurrency bull run in 2020. His name's Brian, and he said this to me, and you've heard me say it before because I kind of adopted it. He said, the decisions that you make in a down market and the coins that you accumulate during that period of time can build you true wealth over the next 3 to 5 years if you have the patience, right? Cryptocurrency is a game of patience. It's the profits flow from the impatient to the patient. They flow from the impatient to the patient. I'll give you an example. There are going to be some people that own NatG that are going to be really, really upset with themselves in the next 6 to 12 months. Mark my words. People that are selling NatG because it happened to hit a little bit of a peak at 0.00027 or 0.00031, and they decided to take some profits.
Yep.
Literally going to kick themselves in the what in a year, because the owner is focused and has a goal of getting that particular project to 50 cents a token. Now you do the math, and if it's sitting at 0.0003 and that hits 50 cents, those people that sold 1 million tokens to cash in $1,000 right now are going to be really, really, it's kind of like the person that sold,
the pizza Bitcoin guy.
Same thing. Now, I can't guarantee it'll hit 50 cents. We don't know that. I just know internal goals that the company has.
Mhm.
This whole debt chain that they're launching is a big part of that. We're 2 years ahead of schedule. The fact that we're launching our own blockchain, historically speaking, has in the past impacted tokens significantly when it comes to their values, just because of the fact that its own blockchain was launched.
Mhm.
So that's how, when I say the average person could retire, even if you were just taking a little bit each month, and that's all you could do is buy 3 or 5, micro licenses. And then occasionally maybe you get a tax refund and you decide to pick up a drip or two, and you take a little bit of money and you do what you can when you can, and
Yep.
you acquire these licenses over time. It's that drip factor, right? Imagine a drip under your faucet right now in your kitchen, and it was just a little drip. It was a little drip, and it was a little drip. It wouldn't be that big of a deal, but go on vacation for a week and come back and tell me if it's a big deal. Now multiply that times 3 to 5 years. That's how you can build true wealth. It's just a game of discipline and patience. That's
Yep.
all it is.
Yep. Okay, great. Well, thanks for that. So I want to just come back with my understanding is that if you do buy, you get in at 3 to 5 micros right now every month, and you keep adding on. It's 3 to 5 additional every single month. That's a relatively small investment, $150 to $250 a month. And a couple times a year, you do $1,000 to $2,000 for a couple of perpetuals. What we're talking about in the context of Bitcoin is 12 years. Even if you round it up to 10 years, if you go out 10 years on most of these projects where you're mining a little bit every single day, especially with these $500 packages where you're getting 2 micros and you're just spreading that out, because it's hard to sort of guess, because I've been looking at Grow. I've got some Grow tokens and I'm like, well, I really like NatG. Should I sell some Grow right now, to get some NatG? But Grow is a project that it's just smaller in numbers. I mean, the tokenomics on Grow, especially with the new Gummy edition, all that those tokenomics could happen really fast. So I'm like, well, I don't want to sell any of it. So, but I guess eventually, and to answer my question is, you could, if you had enough NatG, and at the prices today, you could get enough NatG where if it goes to 50 cents in 2 or 3 years, you will have enough money where you can afford to sell some NatG to pay some bills.
Absolutely. And
Yeah. Okay. So that's what it is. So it comes back to what you're talking about. Just focus on accumulating coins, and have a 2 to 3 year at a minimum perspective. And if you can wait 5 to 10 years, it'll be even more lucrative.
Yeah, some of you guys have seen me. We're sitting right over here, but I have a little cigar case of just little silver coins, right? And I get a shipment every month, and I just get 4 or 8 of them, depending on whatever I order. And I get a little gram of gold. And I started doing it about a year ago, and it's starting to amount to the point where I said to Summer last night, we need a new cigar case. And it's just coins. It's just it's real silver coins. And I thought about that, and I thought, if I ever, a rainy day, if I needed it, I'll cash those in. But, if I just did that now over the next 10 to 20 years, I would have like a safe pool of silver, right? To the point where my coins are no longer coins. They're now, grams, or not grams, but 900, I don't know what it is, the big bars of silver, right? And so you think about it, it's the same concept with the micro nodes. And it's just a matter of accumulation and stacking little by little over time. And even if you were just taking 10% of your income and just making sure that you're putting it into something that's producing an income producing activity, listen to this, it's really important to think about this. The average household income makes $5,500 a month approximately. Okay. Some sites say it's 5,800. Some say that it's 5,400. So let's call it $5,500 a month. That's combined household income. So I was thinking about this the other day, and I thought, well, what would I have to do? What would somebody have to do to be able to create an extra 1 month of income, right? A 13th month of income. It's $14 to $15 a day. That's what you would need to have to create an extra 1 month of income. Now, imagine you going to work tomorrow and your boss called you in and said, you're doing a great job. We're going to give you an extra month of income. At the end of the year, well, that'd be pretty cool, right? Well, we can do that same thing with the assets that we have. It doesn't take a lot to get to that $14, $15 a month income, even on today's values, right? It's just a matter of a little bit of accumulation, and you can all of a sudden put yourself into a situation where you've given yourself a $5,000 raise. Well, what if you gave yourself a $5,000 to $10,000 raise, and you did that? Maybe it was only a $5,000 raise 1 year, but then the second year you gave yourself a $10,000 raise. And now you've compounded, and eventually you've given yourself another $20,000 raise. You can see how, and that doesn't take into consideration any type of increase in values of these tokens, right? So that's just based on today's values. But if you think about that, hopefully that can give you a vision of how 3 to 5 years from now, your life could be quite different than it is today. But even today, you guys, we have the ability to make a huge difference. You know, in the average household, an extra $500 a month right now, when prices of everything are skyrocketing, is a big difference. It's a big deal, and we have the ability to be able to help somebody do that with these licenses and these micro licenses.
Mhm. Yep, great. So hey, you know, it's 1:30. Sarah, do you want to see if we can get some other people to either ask their questions or share their why they're doing DebtBox, what their goals are, or anything that they want to share with Travis. And before we do that, I just want to set it up, because I think a lot of people may not know, but we're all on the same team. For those of you, Eric is he's my adopted sponsor, and Sarah's above Eric, and Travis is above Sarah, and so you can speak about Sarah and Eric and Travis as being on your team. That we're I think we are on the strongest team in the company. There's only one DebtBox spokesperson, and that's Travis Flaherty, and he's on our team. So you can doesn't mean you get to text him all the time, but you can say, yeah, you're on his team. He's my partner. So because he is in our upline. So anyway, with that, let's open it up and see if other people want to jump in.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Hey, Travis, it's Megan. I have a question. So I guess when it comes to some of these things, I guess I'm just wondering, like, if I have somebody kind of like being, I guess, posting stuff in regards to, Coinbase and some of the other cryptos being secured and in trouble, I guess, by the SEC, just different things like that in the crypto space now. And a lot of that, I guess you would call it FUD, like FUD on my posts. Would you just kind of like stop the conversation? I think I realized today, after like I was just going back, and then I even tagged you in the one, and I was like, maybe I should have just never really even responded so it couldn't continue with him. On top of the fact that, like, I'm just kind of wondering then, are there comments to make it, because like, my job and my home care company isn't even secure every day. But it's the fact that, like, I feel that this being decentralized is just one layer that avoids the United States regulations, maybe?
So number one, there's 3 types of people that are out there in the world. You have your believers, right? Like, they're already in the decentralized mindset. They are advocates of cryptocurrency, and they are excited about the progression of moving from hype and speculation to substance and tangibility, right? So that's category 1. We're looking for category 1s for sure. Category 2s are the skeptics, right? The skeptics they're skeptical, but they're willing to go through a process to learn, to be able to be informed so that they can make a well-informed decision. And then you have cynics, and cynics, there's nothing that you can say that'll change their mind. There's literally, they just want to argue. And I literally will not give 1 ounce of my energy or time to a cynic. And I can usually spot them very quickly, because they don't know what they don't know, but they're not even willing to take the time to learn and listen. Somebody like that, I would ask simple questions like, how do you feel about the banks that have closed this year? We've had more banks that have closed than exchanges that have closed in 2023. So how do you feel about that? And then, you can usually tell by their response. I usually like to ask questions as opposed to argue with people because it usually gets them to think. But I usually don't waste too much time with them. It's like a bag of M&Ms, right? If I opened up a bag of M&Ms, I'm looking for the green M&M and I'm looking for the orange M&M. I don't really like the brown M&Ms. Occasionally I'm going to come across them and I just kind of don't give them much time, but along the way, I'm going to find those green M&Ms, right? And those green M&Ms are the ones that ultimately I'm going to go build my business with. There's enough people out there that are green M&Ms that I don't waste my time on the brown ones. I don't waste my time trying to convince people. We're not in the convincing business. We're in the invitation and education business. If somebody is willing to be educated and they're willing to go through a process to truly learn how we're different, like that person, you might say, listen, I understand your concerns. I felt the exact same way. We're not an exchange, first of all. We aren't an exchange. That's not what we do. But what I would love to do, if you're open to it, is to take you through a process that helps you to understand how and why we're different, if you're open to it. And if they say they are, then I'm going to start putting them through a process of a presentation, maybe an interview with Jason, and see if they'll go through that process. And if they're not open to it and they just come back with wisecracks and different comments, then I know that they are not who I'm looking for. And, depending on how rude they get, sometimes I'll invite them to my block party. I blocked them completely. But yeah, I'm not in the convincing game. I'm here to educate and inform and invite people to come and take a look at what it is that we're doing. And if they're a 1 or a 2, I'll spend time with them. If they're a 3, I literally will not even take the time. People send me all the time. I probably get about 5 of these a week where somebody will send me a message in my Facebook or in Messenger. And I don't always have time to respond to all of them. Some of them, and it'll be like an argument that's like been going on for a while. And now they want me to come in and give them a good thing to say. And I look at them and they're like, what should I say next? And my answer is just say goodbye and move on to the next, right? There's a saying, some will, some won't. So what next? That's really what it comes down to. But ask them if they're willing to go through a journey to understand how we're different. Because we're not an exchange, right? Binance, Coinbase, some of these exchanges, FTX that are in trouble. If you really were to look at them, they're no different than the traditional banks today. The reason FTX went under is because there was a bank run. They was concerned that there wasn't money to back up the money in deposits. Hello? Anybody realize that there's no money in our banks at all? And that if we all went to the bank today to withdraw it, they don't have it? And they would crumble, and they have crumbled. It's the same exact thing. So what we're trying to do is provide a solution to that big challenge and problem that's out there. And man, I sure would love to invite you to learn a little bit more about it so that you can understand how we're different. If I sent you a presentation that explained it, would you be willing to take a look at it?
That's great, Megan. Does that answer your question? Did we lose Megan?
I got a thumbs up there, so I'm pretty sure it did.
I do have one question.
Go for it, Will.
I'm not going to show my cam. I'm actually baking bread, but right now, does the licenses work without my computer open or not? Does it have to be open? Does it have to be connected to the internet? I'm just asking, just to know.
Well, you do have, did you buy the 30-foot antenna that you put on your roof? Because you do have to have that too. Do you have that?
No,
I'm totally just messing with you. I know I shouldn't have said
love
that.
the answer.
Yeah. You don't need your computer at all unless you, so if you are buying hosting credits, like I host through Amazon servers, right? When we buy credits from the company, that's really them just passing on the same, there's no profit there. It's coming from Amazon servers, and I trust their servers a lot better than I trust my internet provider. So I don't want my system going down and not being mining through my computer, and I don't want to burn up my computer either. So I just buy hosting credits. And eventually, if you have more than 6 licenses, you probably should start looking at a V-Box because it just makes more economic sense. A V-Box basically allows you to hang up to 20 licenses on the V-Box indefinitely, and it covers the hosting for life. So you can buy credits, and that's being hosted through Amazon servers, and then your computer, you don't have to worry about your computer at all. If you are hosting through your computer and you've made your computer the host, which honestly, I don't even know how to do that, but apparently it's possible. You would need to make sure that your computer is running 24/7.
Okay, so right now, I bought one license for now, and when I log in onto my X node, like I see that it's mining.
You have 30
And-
days, you get 30 days of free hosting credits with every license that you buy.
Oh, gotcha.
After that 30 days, you'll need to pick up some hosting credits, and you can do that through just swapping into getting a few debt token. And I mean, it's like, I think one license is equivalent to like $6 a month or something like that. So you can buy hosting credits. So you might throw $100 at it, and it'll last you for 3 or 4 months with that license until you're ready to buy some more credits. And then as you acquire more licenses, eventually look at picking up a V-Box.
Gotcha. And the hosting, because I've noticed sometimes my laptop, I don't know, for whatever reason, my internet actually cuts off. So and then I can see like the mining, like the drip license actually spits out about 100 every day at the same time, and it was just like different. So I don't know if it does matter.
It doesn't have anything to do with your internet or
So
your.
if you're, I think Travis, one of the confusions that come around is that in different time zones, there's the exchanges, and like mine at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, my mining all stops, as then it transfers the last 24 hours of my rewards into my rewards wallet from what it mined. And then within about 5 minutes, it normally starts. But sometimes if I didn't refresh it in time, it still looked for maybe even like a half an hour like it wasn't mining. And then once I refreshed, I could see all of a sudden that it was mining again. In the beginning, that's what was tripping me up, questioning like, wait a minute, why is my mining stopped?
It's always mining behind the scenes. It just may take a little bit of time for the software, the platform to be able to catch up or refresh or a new cycle, or if there's a conversion that's happening. But just know that if you are, as long as you have hosting credits, you're mining 24/7. The only time that you wouldn't be mining is if Amazon servers went down, and that's only happened one time in the last 4 years.
Gotcha. Thank you for the answers.
You bet. But get that 30-foot antenna, man. You need it. So
Hey, if it works out, I'm gonna do it.
Isn't that what helium people had to do for a while? Didn't they have to get one of those big antennas on their roof?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
We have a neighbor who has one on his roof, and it's not the most attractive thing.
Helium didn't. Yeah. Anyways, what other questions come to mind?
Yeah, if I didn't get a V-Box license, does that mean I only have a very short window for this to be mining for me? Or so it'll say all my transactions will stop until I purchase that?
So you have 30 days of hosting included in every license that you buy. So within that 30 days of the time that you bought your license, you'll either need to buy hosting credits, or you'll need to, or if you want to, you can buy what's called a virtual box. You just buy it through your back office, and then it allows you to be able to host up to 20 licenses indefinitely. So that's $1,000, or you can just buy credits every month if you want to. Like you can spend $50 and just buy credits, and it'll take care of a license for the next 4 or 5 months if you wanted to do it that way. So
Where is that found?
It's all done through your back office. There are some different training videos that are also in the IX Global back office, as well as in our mentoring library that show you how to do it. You just need debt tokens. So what you'll do is you'll swap from whatever project that you have a few dollars into debt. Or if you don't want to use any of your tokens, then you can send yourself some US. I don't want to get too in depth, but just know we'll be there with you to help hold your hand and show you how to do it.
This is really, and Elise, this is really a question for your introducer, the person that brought you in. Just call them up because they're obviously doing it. So just ask them to walk you through it.
Yeah, Sarah,
hopefully they're in your time zone.
And also
I'm already
remember-
talking to him. We're all talking to him.
and also remember that in the memberships, like in the $50 membership, I believe there's 3 hosting. And in the
thank
I
you
don't
for
know what
reminding
the
me. That's right.
130.
You
Isn't
are
that
also
right?
getting
There's
credits.
like
That's right.
10?
For the $50 membership on a monthly basis, you are getting 3 credits a month as well. So that is, going towards your overall amount of credits that you have. Just keep an eye on in your back office on your Xnode app. It'll show you your hosting credits and where you're at, and For me, once you get over 5-6 licenses, just go buy a V-Box. It just makes the most sense.
Yeah, then I'll need to do that. I came in on the 130 membership, so I don't know what that gives me, but I plan on going big,
and-
so
You're getting 10 credits a month, which should cover.
what I have.
It should
And
cover.
licenses. Yeah.
10 licenses.
Yeah,
I only have 2 full, then I have micros.
Mhm.
that's right. And I don't know if this is something that we haven't used enough or talked about enough, but if you guys are looking for some different resources, if you go into your back office and you click on this academy right here, and you come down in here into the training programs or the dashboard. Let's see if we click on dashboard here. I'm already on the dashboard. So training programs. So if I go into training programs in here and then I scroll over, there's all kinds of really, really good information that's in here. If I click on English, it'll filter out. And then from there, what I can do is I can come down and there's different training videos in here that'll tell you how to buy your hosting credits, or a beginner's guide to NFTs. There's all kinds of really, really good things that are in here that you can kind of go through. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew that this is in here.
I started there. Yeah, that was great.
Resources that are in here that, anyways, just for people to know about as well.
Hey, Travis, do you know by chance, I thought when I first bought my licenses and was buying the licenses through IX Global that they did come with a year of hosting credits.
They did up until anything that was, I don't remember the date, but I think it was maybe March 1st or April 1st. Everything after those
Okay.
went to 30 days, but anything that you bought in 2023, 2022, or I think within the first couple of months of 2023 came with a year's worth of hosting.
Okay, so that's good to
It's
know
when they
for my
change-
other ones.
It's when they changed the memberships, when the new memberships came out, because then they
Ah,
started
yes.
hosting in those memberships. That's when it changed. Casey, did you have a question? Go for it.
Yeah, so we kind of went down a rabbit hole, which I wasn't even aware of with the licensing and the hosting. I have 6 licenses and I'm under the 130 as well. So between my 6 licenses and my 68 micros, that's considered to be covered. Am I understanding that right?
Your micros don't require any hosting.
Oh, right. Okay. So my 6 licenses then. Because I didn't know that was a thing. I'd never seen that it wasn't ever not counting. So I never even wasn't even a question. But
You're covered just based on the
Okay.
membership that you're on, and
Okay,
the
cool.
fact that your micros don't even require hosting, so you're good to go.
So first off, thanks for coming here and joining us tonight. You know, this is cool. It's nice to get to talk to you without it being through Facebook comments and whatnot. So
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's a
yeah,
pleasure.
awesome. Hey, okay, so I had an interesting. So I pour concrete for a living, and the end of my day today, I was pouring concrete and talking with one of my pump operators who happened to be noticed. He pays attention on Facebook. He sees what's going on, and I made some posts the last couple of days. It was stuff that you and Eric had put out, and kind of just reworded my own little thing in there to kind of entice the folks that connected with me. And he was really interested. We started talking, and I'm a bit of an oversharer in the sense, as soon as somebody starts to talk about it, it's like game on. At what point do you sort of pull back? And I know you talked a little bit about, kind of keeping it, making it urgent and whatnot. But when we're working together and they continue to ask questions, and it's like you can't really separate yourself from it. So it's not really a good a time to be like, I don't want to talk about it anymore. And so how do you sort of put the brakes on and not overshare and do other, go down other avenues that might answer their questions or keep them enticed without having this long, hour-long conversation?
I want you to remember these words. I don't know about that, but what I do know is, man, look at this app. It keeps paying me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I can send you a presentation that can explain it a lot better than I can. Like,
Yeah, right.
like that. Like, seriously, they start asking you all kinds of questions. Man, I don't know about that. But what I do know is, like, this thing keeps paying me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Like, I don't even have to do anything. It's the coolest thing in the world. And you know what? I rather than me trying to explain it to you, I'd love to send you a presentation that can explain it a lot better than I can. If I send it over to you, would you watch it? Like that's literally the best thing. When I was out So some of you have heard this story. When I first came on board, I wasn't going to build the business. I just came here just to put some money to work. And I was out with friends, and that's what happened to me. I told some people that I bought some nodes, and they said, "What's a node?" And I said, "Well, it's asset-backed crypto backed by natural gas, and I'm mining these tokens. I'm getting paid every day." And they started asking all these questions, and I didn't really know the answer. It's like, well, I don't know about that, but what I do know is this app's paying me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I passed the app around, and their eyes were all like, "Well, how do we get one of these?" And I'm like, "It's a great question. I'll tell you what, I'll send you a presentation that explains it a lot better than I can." And ultimately, every single one of them ended up buying 10 of those NatG licenses. And so, you know what? Just keep it simple. Keep it more related to why you felt that it was important to diversify out of the banks and put your money to work, and ultimately how you feel about the future now that your money is working for you instead of the banks making money on you. Less about tokenomics and how they're have these deflationary mechanisms. And once you go there, you're out in the weeds, and when you get out in the weeds, I've been there too, and you can just feel it, and you're like, crap, I'm out in the weeds. And then and a confused mind will never buy, right? So make it more about why you're choosing to go down this path, how you were dissatisfied, because people will relate to being dissatisfied. If you start talking about how, man, my 401k is just a disaster, you're going to get people that relate to that. Or if you start talking about how the rising cost of everything's going through the roof, and you're feeling the pinch, and you had to figure out some different ways to be able to start generating some additional revenue, and you came across this incredible app that's backed by paying you in crypto, that's backed by these real world assets. And since you've started doing that, man, you're really excited about the future. And I'd love to be able to share some information with you. So keep it more related to your personal situation, why you got involved, what you found, how you feel about the future. And then ultimately, if worst comes to worst, to say, I don't know about that, but what I do know is, look at these tokens coming in real time. I'll send you a presentation that explains it better than I can.
Unplugging from the nerd, unplugging the nerd in that moment is hard to do.
It is hard.
It's probably going to take a little work, but I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you.
You can have general conversations all day long about, I talk all day long about, the banks and what's happening in the banking system, and the Federal Reserve, and you get into all these types of conversations that ultimately support decentralization, right? So you can talk about just you want to stay out of the weeds when it comes to getting into the specifics of the projects per se and the tokenomics that go along with them. Keep that a little bit more high level. There's a saying that I kind of laugh at when I first heard it. I've kind of adopted it over the years, but somebody once said that nobody wants to be pitch slapped. Nobody wants to have the full presentation remember, you don't want the conversation should not be a presentation. The conversation should be designed to pique enough interest to invite somebody to watch a third-party tool. And usually when you say too much on the front end and you give a presentation, we used to call it throwing up on someone. What happens is they form an opinion, but they're forming an opinion without knowing all the facts. And remember, it's the process that you take that prospect through that actually builds the value. It's that education process that you're taking them through. And remember, dollars always follow value. So again, if you've ever seen me draw that funnel, it's conversations first, inviting them to watch a third-party tool. If they have questions, introducing them to a business partner that brings in third-party validation. Maybe then it's having them watch the interview with Jason that now brings them to a place where they're ready to make a well-informed decision. That process is the process that ultimately is going to build the value.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Do we want to get in another question possibly before we wrap this up? I know it's getting later. I just want to make sure that we take advantage of Travis's time.
Hey,
I
yeah,
have a
this
question, sir.
We'll get both of you guys in. Heather, go ahead.
Okay, so I know I asked you earlier, Sarah, and I didn't have a lot of time to catch up with you. So the micronodes don't have to have hosting, correct? Now, is that only for the 30 days or does they keep going? Or do you have to buy new hosting?
Micros never require hosting.
Okay, so it'll be like you can set it and forget it, a sort of thing.
Right, it's solar powered. You never have to worry about it.
Okay.
Wow.
Thank you.
So I have a last question, I guess. And it's
Well,
something.
Doug, before you go, I'm sorry, but K-Bug was gonna ask a question.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that.
Hey, it's Krista. Thank you so much. Thank y'all for being here too. I just had a couple questions when I was listening to you talk, Travis. It's like you have that influence. So when you do that, it piques people's interest, right? And so what if you're not yet at that level of influence and someone like me who's I feel like I'm learning a whole I feel like I'm learning Japanese or something on these calls when I get on with Suzette and Amelia. Like it's taking a lot for it to sink in. All I've done is nursing. I've been blind for so many years, not knowing all this stuff. And now I'm trying to learn it all. So I see the value for sure, but I don't understand. I don't feel like I understand it well enough to give it to somebody else. And also like I have a lot of influential friends, but it would be about like, but I don't feel like I have influence over them. If anything, they have influence over me. So I'm usually the one reaching out to them. It would kind of be like me reaching out to you right now, Travis, saying, hey, I've got this thing. And I don't even know, like, understand it all that great. I just understand it well enough to know this is good. So how would you reach out to somebody like that? Because I have some friends that I feel like if I could get them, not that I'm attached to the outcome, but if I could, if they would watch it, they would be, I feel like all in,
So first of all, if I asked you to buy a book that would cost maybe $8, would you buy it?
Sure.
Read it. I want you to read a book called Go Pro by Eric Worre.
I've got it.
Okay. I want you to read it or reread it because it talks about all the different ways to approach people that are at a different level than you, at the same level of you, the different direct and indirect approaches. And I think it would be really good to familiarize yourself with that because it's different every time you read it, depending on which opportunity that you're in, because you relate it differently depending on which opportunity that you're in.
Right.
And so I would recommend definitely going back and reading that. Now, with that being said, I want you to know this. I did not always have credibility, especially in this industry. I built it over time. Credibility comes from doing the things that you say you're going to do. It comes from persisting when people think that you're not going to be here 6 months from now, still being here. It comes from, being recognized when there's a promotion and kicking butt during that promotion. It comes from being fearless and not worrying about what people think. And it comes from the person, if you believe enough more than the person disbelieves, you're going to win. And so the more that you can build your belief by just plugging in, being on a call like tonight, just all of those things are going to add to your overall belief system a little bit. And here's what I know is this. While in the beginning, I didn't have credibility, I knew that we all know somebody that's going to go to bed tonight saying a prayer, asking for financial solutions. We all know somebody tonight that is searching for and even praying for something to come into their hands that could make a difference for them. The mining nodes are not going to make you a ton of money overnight, right? That's more of a wealth creation tool. The opportunity can change your life in a very short period of time if you just embrace it and you go and run with it. So what I would tell you is that people right now that are searching for you. And if all you ever made it about was you found a great way to be able to generate extra income and it's making a difference for you and your family, and you would love to share it with them and ask them if they're open to taking a look, and that's all you ever did, here's the thing, even if you're bad at this business and you talk to 100 people, you're going to stumble across 10 to 15 that are willing to take a look at this. As your credibility improves, 20 to 30 people are going to look at this. And then as your credibility really improves, you get 40 to 50% of the people that are at least willing to take a look. So at the end of the day, it's about having enough conversations, building enough confidence through, as you have more and more conversations, you start to get more confident about it, right? And so you've got to let go of that fear of what people are going to think about you. You got to know right now, in the world that we are living in, people are struggling. Their consumer debt is through the roof. People are feeling the pinch. And you have an opportunity that has the ability to truly make a difference in people's lives. And so if all you ever did is just go around asking people, hey, listen, are you open to making more money right now? Are you open to other income opportunities? Because I found something. I've got something that's worth taking a look at, and I'd love to share it with you. Are you open to it? Well, what's it about? Asset-backed crypto. And I'd love to send you a presentation that explains it a lot better than I can. you are going to find people that are willing to at least start to engage. And so, and what'll happen is over time, you'll start to gain a little bit of that credibility, right? Being here 6 months from now, being here a year from now, having progressed, having rank advanced, having been recognized, all of those little things add a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more credibility. And pretty soon you've got a wallet that you can pull out and show people, here's my portfolio. Look at the tokens that I'm earning every single day. Would you like to have an app that pays you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? I mean, that's enough credibility in itself to get somebody to say, tell me a little bit more about this.
Gotcha. That helps. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'd like to just say something about that. Last week, we talked about the power of three-ways and teamwork. So one of the ways to, just to bring that back up again is once they watch the video, the next step that I go to is to set up a Zoom. And I try to always set it up with somebody else, even if it's not some superstar, because there's this expression, expert from afar. And when people, it doesn't really matter. They don't know whether they're above you, below you, to the sideline, somebody you get along with. The three-way calls are really powerful. And I try, every time I do one, I learn something new. So doesn't matter who it's with. So I'm going to table my question. I wanted to talk about maximizing the comp plan, Travis, and talk about some DCA ideas where we could get more cash flow maybe on a weekly basis, how we might do that. But we can table that and maybe do that another time you jump on when we get a little earlier in the call. So, yeah.
First of all, I love what you said about borrowed credibility. It kind of reminded me back to being a 30-year-old kid starting this industry, having no success. You know what I did? I would attach myself to the most successful person in the company. He didn't really even know who I was, but to everybody that I talked to, you would have thought that he was my business partner and that I was working hand in hand with him. And so I would literally do everything I could to get him on front of a presentation and then be like, man, listen, my business partner has this incredible story. And you know what? He's earned millions of dollars. And I'll tell you what, I told him a little bit about you and he would love to say hi. If you've got 5 minutes, I'd love to be able to connect you guys. And then I'd call him up and be like, hey, listen, I've got somebody that's watched the presentation. Are you willing to just say hi for 5 minutes? And I would just get them together on a phone call, and that third-party credibility, because he had a lot more credibility in this industry than I did. And it's interesting that it's kind of come full circle. Now it's almost ironic that I'm now that credible person that people try to use as three-way calls, because I was the one that was sitting there going, man, I got to introduce you to my business partner. And I would borrow their credibility. So that is great, great advice that you just shared, Doug. Compensation plan wise, I will just say this: you got to learn to know how to hit the rank advance bonuses. The rank advance bonuses are where you're going to start to pick up more money on a weekly basis. You need to start looking at your rank analysis every single week, and you need to start learning you need to know enough about the comp plan to know, okay, if I'm at builder, what do I need to do now to get to that next level, which is, I think, producer? And how do I get there? Because that's the difference of, whatever, $100, $87 a week to now $500 a week in a bonus. Those rank advance bonuses are highly lucrative. And so if you're not watching your rank analysis, and if you don't even know where to see that or find that, get with your upline and have them take you through a little quick tour of that rank analysis. And then
that's where I brought up the DCA, where we get people where they're buying something every single week, because that's how you're going to rank up. If you only have 3 to 5 or 6 people that you personally sponsored, it's tough to rank up. So one way to do that, if you're other than bringing in another 5 or 10 people, which some people can't do, is to figure out, well, how can I educate the people that I do have the value of buying something every week? So that's kind of where I was going with that, but we can talk about that another time. And
that drip factor, you guys, that drip factor, just that little teeny bit of, even if it's just 3 licenses that you're picking up, here and there, it all adds up. And that's really, and if you get that happening on a larger scale, eventually in your organization, now it's comeback volume, right? It's not new sales all the time. It's now you've got that comeback residual volume that allows you to consistently hit those rank bonuses.
Becomes recurring. And one of the things I really like about it is if you do encourage somebody to pick up a few more micros, it's really a win-win, because they're going to win big. Yes, we're going to get some bonuses, but if they do that, they're going to win big. And, maybe 12 months, maybe 36. So anyways.
My closing thoughts today would be leverage the promo that we have. If you're able to pick it up, do it. Anytime there's a promo, I just grab it just because I'm just adding more things to my overall portfolio. But use this portfolio as an excuse to reach out to people. It's a great reason to reach out to anybody and everybody maybe that you've talked to 3 months ago, 6 months ago that said, no, not right now, or they didn't get back with you. It's a great opportunity to reach out to people that just says, hey, listen, I don't know if you've been watching what I've been working on with this asset-backed crypto, but it's really, really turning into something significant. We're running a promotion for $500. It's a great way to get your feet wet and just start collecting tokens. I'd love to add you to my, to my list and get you started and just use that as an opportunity to start reaching out to people. I think you'll surprise yourself how many people are willing to part with $500 just to test this and come in and now they come in and they become believers. And that's where you start to build on, they start buying other licenses. So I would really, really take advantage. Never miss out on a good promotion. And right now, this promotion is a great way for you to go out and really grow your business and hit that next rank. A lot of good volume on those, by the way. 250 in volume on a $500 pack's fantastic volume. Those were created to help people rank up, just so you guys know. So use those, look where you're at, figure out what you need to do to get to your next rank, and use this promotion to get there.
Thank you, Travis. I
Yep.
think that's great. I'm going to stop recording.